And thank you for joining me again. I've got a little bit to show today. I've been working away slowly, but I've been making some progress, adding some figures to my 28mm biblical armies. So I've added a few more Egyptians and a few more Canaanites. To be honest, I thought I had big enough armies, but when I sat down to think about it, it was clear I needed to add a few more. Oh well, that's always the way, isn't it? Anyway, I shall turn the camera around and show you what I have finished. So here you go. First up we have these Egyptian bowmen. These are Foundry figures, of course. Still, to my mind, some of the best available. I needed to add an extra 8 figures to my existing collection, which would give me 2 units of 32. So here you go. They're really nicely designed and with a lot of detail in there. You've got to be careful about the little worms that come on the casting, and I did have to look at them 2 or 3 times to make sure I got them all. But that aside, they're full of character, and they've got a lot of movement, I think, in the posing. So that's what I did first. I shall turn the camera off and put the next set up for you. Now these are not new, they're rebased. So these are my commander figures. The 2 groups you can see at the front there are from Dark Fable. It's a fantasy range, but some of them are pretty good for historical. The one at the back is a Foundry group. You can see there's a difference in scale. The Dark Fable are probably a good 2mm taller than the Foundry figures. I wouldn't add them together in the same unit, but as commanders I can live with it. So there is the command sets, or are the command groups, I suppose that's a better way of saying it. Okay, and the next thing I've got is another bit of rebasing. Now this small unit is my Egyptian Royal Guard. I'm not a fan of rebasing, but I had these figures and I decided it was probably more sensible to rebase than to buy a couple more packs that I needed to paint up. So these have got a new lease of life, and they will be guarding the Pharaoh in forthcoming battles. It's a simple pose. The short spear and the large shield make them stand out from the rest of the army. So I think that'll be quite distinctive, easy to spot. So now there's one more group I could add to the army, sort of more skirmishers, but I'm in 2 minds whether I need to or not. I only have bow-armed skirmishers for the Egyptians, and I could add a little group of javelin-armed skirmishers, or maybe sling-armed skirmishers. I don't need to, but I think it might round the army out a bit if I did. Don't know, I'll think about it a bit more. Now, on the other side of the battlefield we have some Canaanites, and I'll put those up now. Now I found I was a bit short of Canaanite bowmen, so I've added another 12 to my Canaanite army, and here they are. So these 6 are Foundry, and again the same comments apply as before. Lovely figures, a lot of variation in pose and in dress. Lovely figures, and they will go quite well with the existing portion of the army. Next to them we have 6 Newline design 28mm. These are actually Israelites, but they are more or less indistinguishable from the Canaanite population at this time. And as you can see, size-wise, they fit very well. The sculpting's not quite the same as the Foundry figures, and some of the musculature, particularly on the backs, is less well defined, and the faces maybe are a little less defined, but painted up, I think they look pretty good together. So I'm happy about that. The chief benefit is there is a great difference in cost. So 8 Foundry figures at the moment are costing £14. 6 Newline design are costing £6.60, so that will be £8.80 equivalent for 8. Yeah. I have one further Egyptian Newline design thing that I'm going to test out. I've got a chariot that I will paint up and see how that looks. And I've got some Canaanite generals that I'm painting up, again from Newline Designs. And we'll see how they come out. But with that, I think my Canaanite army is going to be... I'm really hesitating to use the word finished, because nothing is ever finished. But for this period, this painting spat, I think that will be the end for now. Now, last time I looked at these, I was contemplating which set of rules to use, and I'd got the to err is human rules. I tried those out and played through a couple of turns, but I have to say they're not for me. That's not to say there are some good points in them, and I do like the fear test idea, but I couldn't get beyond 3 things really. The grid on the table was always intrusive, and the way that the units manoeuvred just didn't feel right. And the third thing was there appeared to be just so many dice to roll for each combat. I wasn't comfortable with that. So now I'm going to have another look at Meg, Mortem et Gloriam. I had a look at these some years ago when they first came out, and there were a number of things that didn't gel with me at the time, but the authors made a number of changes and has addressed some of the concerns I had at the time. So I think it's well worth having another look at and seeing if they give a good game for this particular era in history. The Chariot period is quite distinct from other parts of history. We'll see. I'm quite hopeful. I've got fingers crossed. Perhaps this will work in the way that I imagine it should. Anyway, that's what I've been working on. Progress is slow, but it is definitely progress. So I will carry on and catch up with you in a week or two's time. All right, thank you for watching.